Welcome to the Cocktail Spirit from Small Screen Network. I'm your host, Robert Hess. In this episode, we're going to do the Sherman Cocktail. This is a recipe I got out of the old Waldorf Bar book, or I probably should say I'm getting it out of Waldorf Bar Days. So Bar Days was a book that preceded this one. The Waldorf Bar book was printed in 1935. Bar Days was printed in 1931. Albert Stevens Crockett wrote both of them. All the recipes that appear in the Bar book also appeared in Bar Days. Bar Days is just a larger book that included a number of essays about the Waldorf Astoria Hotel as well. The Waldorf Astoria Hotel was torn down during this time to make room for the Empire State Building. The drink is very simple. It's made with 2 ounces of rye whiskey, then 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, so at this point fairly similar to a Manhattan. We'll notice during this period of time from the late 1800s to the early 1900s, we have an awful lot of drinks coming out that are very similar to the martini in Manhattan, using vermouth and other ingredients like that to take and balance out the spirits. This is part of the reason why we have a drink called the Old Fashioned, which is trying to harken back and let people know that there was a drink style prior to this martini Manhattan style drink, which would have been the Old Fashioned style of drink. To this, we're adding then about 3 dashes of absinthe. I'm gonna use this little teeny bar spoon to help me measure that out. You're going to be very careful when you measure absinthe out because it can quickly take over a drink if you put in too much of it. It's got a licorice, anise flavor in it. Actually, absinthe doesn't include licorice, but it's more of anise flavor, but the anise is like what you're familiar with licorice. And if you get too much, it's very strong, the drink suddenly is overpowered by it, and so you really need to be careful. Back in the days, a lot of American bartenders weren't using absinthe like they were in Europe as a drink. They were using it just dashes or two to add flavor essences to the cocktail like we're using it here. We then add a dash of aromatic bitters and a dash of orange bitters. Stir this up. And one thing you'll commonly notice when you're using absinthe, even in dashes in a drink, is as you're stirring it, you're able to smell that licorice sort of flavor coming off the drink. That's not a sign you've used too much, but it's basically the anise opening up in the air and coming through. It really adds kind of a nice scent, I think, to the room and the ambiance. Strain this into our glass. And I'm going to garnish this with a lemon twist. Tightening up the edges like you've seen me do in a couple other episodes. Twist the peel over the top. This is helping expressing some of the additional oils into the drink. When you do things like that, you want to take and pay attention to the drink and try it both ways, with and without the lemon twist, or with a lot of twist, or with a little teeny bit of a twist to it, because the oils are actually going to change the character of the drink to a certain extent. It is possible, even with this small lemon twist like that, depending upon what the other ingredients are, to overpower the drink just with the oils that you're adding from the twist itself. But the lemon oils added late like that, they're sitting on top of the drink, and they're going to take and add kind of an aroma that comes off as you drink it. It's very pleasant. And the flavor has a very much of a Manhattan style flavor to it. The absinthe, even though I could smell it as I was stirring it off, I can barely taste it in the background, so it adds just a nice little taking touch to it without it taking and overpowering the drink with that absinthe, a licorice type flavor to it. I think this is an excellent, excellent drink. And there we have the Sherman cocktail.